Taking a look at local news now, the license of occupation policy, which has brought forward a great deal of discussion from council, was approved during the last meeting. The policy outlines what can and what cannot be approved in the road right-of-way. However, councillors still had questions regarding what limits will exactly be put into place.
We're trying to find, the right pathway going forward so that we have signs that are approved, they're put up appropriately, they're in places that aren't going to distract and cause safety issues, and the devil's in the detail to be able to try to manage that. And so my questions around, how far apart can they be, how many can you put in place? Basically, I think what we want is our staff to be armed with, those rules and regulations so that they don't have to go through the same discussion every time. And more importantly, it's very clear to those who have that as a business so they know when they come there that this is what they can expect.
A process for how signage will be approved as it currently is in the works.
There's a process that's being established, policies in place, and that process will follow up very shortly, just so that it's very clear, crystal clear to be exact, of what can and can't, the process to apply for permits, and the costing associated with it.
We're weeks away from the first Lloydminster Heavy Oil Show in 4 years. This year's event will look different than it has in the past, but will feature many guests, including Premier Scott Moe.
The Lloydminster Heavy Oil Show is returning to the Lloyd X on September 14th and 15th. I'm pleased to be joined today with the Director of Protocols for the show, Gerald Albers. Now, it's been a few months since we've spoken last. Can you kind of fill us in on how the planning and organizing has gone for the show so far?
It's been a very busy time since it's been 4 years since we had an oil show. So getting the committee together and getting work done, finding people to attend to bring greetings, even at the opening ceremony, it's been a little challenging, but we've got there. The committee's been working really hard and continues to work hard. We're still getting people interested in displaying at the oil show and having a booth, which is terrific. We encourage them to contact our office. But it has been a very hectic time, but we've got some great interesting events happening at the oil show that not traditionally have happened in the past. So that's really exciting.
So there's still time for exhibitors to apply to be a part of the show?
They could still apply. Yeah, we're still taking applications for exhibitors. The show guide, as it's known, is going off to print, so they may not make it in the show guide, but they'll certainly be able to be at the oil show, and we'd love to have them there if they're interested. So they just need to reach the Lloydminster Heavy Oil Show office, and they would be able to get the information.
So you mentioned it's been a number of years since we've had a heavy oil show here in Lloydminster, and there are going to be some changes this year. Can you kind of go through some of the differences that people may notice that attend?
As always, the show is free. It's open to the public, it's open to the industry, and we encourage people to come and see firsthand the innovation that continues to marvel the production in heavy oil here in Lloydminster and Western Canada and around the world. For the opening ceremonies, as an example, we won't have a guest speaker. We have a fireside chat planned with 2 people that will be interviewed and chatting about industry, the business, the politics of the world, and the oil business. So that's going to be exciting. That'll be a little different rather than a traditional guest speaker. On Wednesday morning, we are hosting a breakfast highlighting Pathways Alliance. This is made up of the largest oil sand producers that are working towards improving climate change as well as net zero emissions coming out. And Cenovus is part of that group. There'll be a vice president from Cenovus, Rhonda Del Frazee, will be speaking and presenting at Wednesday's breakfast to kick off the show, because the show doors open at 9 a.m. so people will be able to come down and have breakfast. At lunch, we have a ticketed lunch event where we're going to be hosting the Minister of Energy and Resources, the Honourable Jim Ryder, as well as the Honourable Jason Nixon, the Minister of Finance for Alberta, who are going to be discussing issues around oil and gas from their provincial perspectives. So you'll have each side talking a little bit about that and answering some questions. Wednesday night, it's known as the Champion X Shrimp Boil. It's been a long time event that was held off-site and is now joining us on-site, and people can get tickets to that. And it's a great supper and social on Wednesday night. So those are all exciting items going on at the show.
So it really sounds like there's a lot of different things happening at this year's show that may be geared towards different people.
Absolutely, because I think that, the Wednesday morning breakfast, if you're in the industry and you want to understand carbon capture and some of the things around net zero emissions, this will be an excellent opportunity to get a great summary and see what some of the work's being done by the leading oil companies in Canada. And Cenovus is one of them, Canadian Natural, another company that's quite involved in our area. And some of the smaller companies may be interested in seeing that. Tuesday night, one of our guest speakers, on the fireside chat is Rob Morgan, the president and CEO of Strathcona Resources, an up-and-comer in heavy oil. Certainly have been in the business for a long time, but continue to grow with a recent acquisition of Serafina Energy, as well as David Yeager, who is an author. He also a writer. He is published quite regularly, but a former oil field executive with ties to the heavy oil industry, and is going to bring a whole perspective of where things are at in the oil and gas industry, as well as the politics of Canada today.
I want to ask you how important it is for Lloydminster to have this show and to host it here, not just for the local industry, but to showcase Lloydminster to the wider industry as a player in the heavy oil game.
I think it's huge from the city's perspective, from the oil industry's perspective, and I hope people come out and support it. It highlights so many things in the history. This is in essence, the 20th anniversary. Even the show is every 2 years. It started out with one company, I understand, showcasing some of their innovations of the day. And it's just growing. It's the one show that is put on by volunteers. We have basically one paid staff member that managing the office, but it's all put on by volunteers through the Lloydminster Oilfield Technical Society and working through the Lloydminster Heavy Oil Show Committee that's created every 2 years to put on the show. So it's a lot of work, but it's an exciting time. I hope people acknowledge that. We take oil for granted most days and petroleum, but we're at a crossroads. And I think it's important that people really step up and take a look at things and understand how environmentally sound production is in Canada, the ethics, the taxation that's gathered by the industry that provides for a lot of things in our community each and every day, as well as our respective provinces in the country.
Now, you mentioned it's free for people to just come and attend the event, but there are some ticketed events. How can people go about getting those tickets?
It can be purchased online at www.lhos.ca. That's the show website, or they can call the office at 780-875-6664. And just bear with us because, as I said, it's getting a little busy and trying to get everybody's orders processed. And of course, there's a cutoff for the caterers. So don't leave those ticket decisions too long.
Thank you so much for talking with us today, Gerald Albers, Director of Protocol for the Lloydminster Heavy Oil Show.
The 2023 version of the Old Farmers Almanac has been released. Stacey Comer found out what the publication has predicted for the upcoming winter weather in the Lloydminster area.
Our friend Jack Burnett is back with us today. Jack is with the Old Farmers Almanac, the Canadian edition we're going to talk about today, specifically winter, although Jack, as I said, it's a very hot day here in Lloydminster today, so it seems strange to be talking about the winter, but thanks for joining us anyways.
I know, it's a pleasure. It's always great to be able to reach out to Lloydminster Beach.
Well, Jack, let's talk about the news that's coming for fall and winter, according to the latest edition of the Farmers Almanac, the 2023 version, which is out now.
Yeah, so we have our new edition out, and we have the winter forecast, as always. What we are looking at really is what we call a chilling report for you, and it's really going to be kind of what we call sneaky cold. In general, we're going to be looking for temps to be colder than normal, precipitation above normal, and snow about normal. So that's a typical winter for your neck of the woods. But we're really seeing some shots of intense snow and intense cold, probably more so than when you would get during a what we might call a normal winter. We're looking at the real cold spell to really come in starting in November, actually, the middle of November, looking for the second half of November to be colder than normal, more so than usual, plus the first part of December, first week of December, first week of January, last week of January, and last week of February. So, I've said a lot there, but one takeaway is that there's a lot up front, and then it kind of ends toward the end of February. Not that March and perhaps April aren't going to be cold, but still the really heavy duty cold we see sort of centering on December and January and February, which you might expect. As far as as far as snow goes, we're looking again for another shot of snow, unusual shot of snow, the last week of November, the middle part of December, and the last week of December. And that's about it and then also the last week of January. So again, that's kind of skewed toward the front of the winter. I mean, there are going to be other events. I mean, I'm looking at my special little forecast now, for your area, which I looked up, and I think that an interesting time is going to be right around January 20th, because that's when we see sort of a combination. Our forecasting methods come up with a combination of deep cold and heavy snow. So, I mean, that means light, fluffy snow, of course, but it's interesting how sometimes they'll coincide, the two will, on a particular, stretch of time. So that's kind of what we see. But we look, for spring to be a little bit warmer, a little bit wetter. We will have snow on the ground, but the spring, I don't expect any major, water concerns, flooding and so on for the farmers. I don't see that because it's going to be pretty cold during the winter, in those shots that I talk about. So, kind of a normal winter with what we call sneaky cold and sneaky snow.
One thing, Jack, that I've heard some discussion about is it's so nice now heading into September. Are we going to get a very short fall? September and October normally are pretty nice here. But when we're talking about the fall, the next couple of months, can we expect some of this warmth to maybe extend a little bit before we get hit with the temperatures and the snow that we talked about coming in November?
Yeah, what we're looking at really for September is a little bit colder than normal, just by like, a degree, half a degree, something like that. We're looking at slightly more rain in September than we normally would get, but not by much again. And then October, I got it for you, Stacy, especially for you. Yeah, we're looking for a warmer October, maybe as much as like 3 or 4 degrees warmer than normal. So that should be nice.
Fantastic. October is my favorite month of the year, so it'd be nice to
Yeah,
have
yeah.
a really nice October. All right, Jack. Well, thank you so much. I wish that we had better news about the winter, but it is what it is. And we will chat with you again in hopes that maybe things will be revised a little bit for a little bit better winter closer to that time. Thanks again for speaking with us, Jack.
All right, super, Stacy. Thank you very much.
Well, before we focus on the winter weather we're expecting, it's time to enjoy the nice, unseasonably kind of warm end of summer that we're getting. With more on your weather forecast, here's Shelby Clark.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jason Mackey. Yes, we got to focus on what we have coming up here in the end of August, and I know August flew by already. It didn't even feel like a month, really. I feel like we just barely even got this last month of summer, Jace? But, it is what it is, and we are ending off with a bang here. We are seeing some beautiful scorchers here in the border city, and right now we're just sitting at 30, and we are seeing a lot more sun peeking behind those clouds, so haven't seen too much cloud coverage whatsoever throughout the day, so hopefully everybody's enjoying their day, also staying hydrated and using that sunscreen because it definitely is a scorcher like we were saying, and it is going to be heating up tomorrow even, so we do have that heat warning in effect right now, so hopefully everybody is also just staying safe out there. Switching over to temperatures across the region for Alberta and Saskatchewan. On the Alberta side, we are seeing that kind of follow suit for most spots. On the Alberta side, seeing that 30 to 31 degrees in most spots over on this end. St. Paul and Lac La Biche, just a couple degrees cooler at that 29 mark, so just right under that 30. Then Wainwright is just seeing 32. So as we can tell, heat warning is is across the region for sure in most spots, and hopefully everybody's just staying safe out there, but we are seeing a beautiful day for most across the region. And switching now over to our Saskatchewan side, they are following suit with us, matching with us temperature-wise. More over on this end here in these 4 spots here, St. Walburg, Meadow Lake, Green Lake, and Isla Cross, all at that 29, so just under that 30 degrees. Then we start to warm up as we go a little bit lower. Pearson and Maidstone both at 30 degrees, matching with us here in the border city. Then Macklin and North Battleford seeing the warmest with that 31 and 32. So, of course, seeing that heat warning in effect. North Battleford will go down to a low of 13 for their evening low, seeing a pretty clear evening tonight. So, pretty nice evening for sure. You can stay out and enjoy some nice activities for a little bit longer. Seeing 33 tomorrow. So, warming up even from what we're seeing today for North Battleford. It's going to be definitely a scorcher. Cold Lake will be going down to a low of 13 as well, seeing that 30, kind of the same temperature as what they saw today with a mixture of some sun and cloud. And for us, we'll be going down to that low of 14. So seeing a nice evening tonight for sure, then seeing 31 tomorrow. So get ready. We're seeing some beautiful days here in the border city, but please make sure you got that water on standby. And ending off with a beautiful weather photo. Thank you to everyone that submitted some nice weather shots to our Facebook page. You can continue to do so. We'll use them on my weather segments. Beautiful shot here. I love seeing that little fox there on the haystack. Love it. Absolutely gorgeous. And that's all I have for now. We'll have more coming up after the break.
The Lakeland Wrestlers have joined forces with the community, as always, to host their annual golf tournament Tuesday morning. The tournament took place at the Lloydminster Golf and Curling Centre and had over 100 golfers take part in the tourney. The purpose of the tournament is to help raise funds for the athletic teams when it comes to championship travel. Various athletes and coaches were in attendance as well to show their support.
The community of Lloydminster has been nothing but incredibly supportive of not just our tournament, but of all the other initiatives we put on over the year, our women's hockey program, our overall yearly sponsors. The community's just been fantastic to work with us at the college, and like I said, this tournament is just another example of how great the community is here in Lloydminster and how they support what we do.
The wrestlers say the total amount of funds that have been raised will be determined sometime late next week. And now it's time to take a look at our Pet of the Day photo submissions from you, our viewers. We want to say thanks to everyone who shared them so far this week. You can head on to our Facebook page, post their name and a photo for a chance to win a Pet Pad gift card.
We want to see your pets. Send photos of your pet and their name to our Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram to have them featured on Pet of the Day. Your name will be entered into a weekly draw for a gift certificate from the Pet Pad.
Welcome back to this edition of Pet Project, everyone. I'm joined once again with Nicole from the Border Paws Animal Shelter, and we have a special guest this week, somebody ultra cute, somebody with a little bit of, special care needs. So I'll let Nicole kind of introduce our friend for this week.
So this is Sausage. She came in last Friday, and she had quite a swollen leg, hence the name Sausage. And we took her over to Animal Hospital, and it turns out she had a broken radius. So now she's going to have to be in this cast for a couple of weeks while we get it healed up. Unfortunately, nobody came and claimed her either, so she will be going up for adoption here once we get her healed up.
Which is unfortunate because what a sweet looking dog. She has been so nice the entire time we've been chatting. Even though she's got a broken leg, you can tell it's not getting her down. She seems like such a happy pup. So certainly, if she interests you stopping by the SPCA, I'm sure it would absolutely just make her life to find a new happy home to go and heal her broken leg in. And we can actually kind of use this to parlay into our next topic, which is the Medical Assistance Fund, which you guys have have, which goes to help animals like this when they get intaked into the animal shelter and they have, medical problems, things like that. Oftentimes in the winter, sometimes animals come in with frostbite or things like that. And this medical fund is a way to pay for those things. So once again, Nicole, I'll kind of let you explain to people the details about that and how they can help out.
So yeah, we have like a medical emergency fund, and that basically helps animals like Sausage here. She came to us, and I mean, unfortunately, medical stuff costs money. So our medical fund, you can go right on our website, and there's an area to donate there. Right now, we also have a little kitty who came in last week who got hit by a car and is probably going to need a leg amputation. So yeah, if anybody wants to donate, feel free to just head to our website, or you can even call in. You can probably, if you have a credit card, do it over the phone, and it goes to helping animals like Sausage get all healed up.
Absolutely. So there's lots of ways that you guys can donate, and like we've been saying, like this is a really wonderful way to help animals who are, especially in a bad way. So, and all that money raised stays in that medical fund, and it's used to pay for things like surgeries here and, these special case scenarios. So if you really want to feel good about yourself, know that you're helping an animal that is really in need and could really use the help. That medical fund is a wonderful way to do that. You will directly be paying for an animal's medical care, which can help it to survive in a lot of cases. So, certainly give that some thought, perhaps help out our friend Sausage, so beautiful. Well, we got one other thing to touch on real quick here, Nicole, and we kind of chatted about it last week, but I'm really excited about it, which is you guys now have an Amazon wish list, which people can go on, they can check out the things that you guys need or that you're looking for, and, they can buy it and send it directly to you guys. So once again, I'm just gonna, ask you if you could remind the people how to do that and the details behind that.
So yeah, we started an Amazon wish list, and actually we've had great response from it. A lot of people are busy and don't have the time to go out and buy things. So you just go to our Facebook page. We have a link right on there, and you can browse through all the different stuff we need, medical, food, toys. We've had some great people already send us some much needed items, like somebody sent us a weight scale last week, so very appreciative. But yeah, you can just go on there, and I mean, if you only want to donate something small or something big, there's a little bit of everything for everyone.
Wonderful. And I always ask every week kind of what you guys are looking for. And so this makes it really simple because people can go on the Amazon wish list whenever. And like you said, you can find things that are, low in price, high in price, whatever you kind of, is in the budget for your donation. You can certainly find something on there. And you can know for 100% certainty that it will be used and appreciated at the animal shelter. Beautiful. Well, that's unfortunately all the time we have this week, Nicole, but I really want to thank you for stopping by and chatting with us and bringing along your dear friend Sausage to say hi and show off that wonderful smile of hers. She is such a sweetheart. So thank you so much once again.
Thank you.
Pet Project is sponsored by the Pet Pad. For total pet care, think Pet Pad.
Furniture set and design supplied by Furniture Gallery and Furniture House, downtown Lloydminster.
I am proud to introduce to the program Gail Bowen. Gail, thank you so much for being here to talk about being a recipient of the Queen's Platinum Jubilee Medal.
It's a pleasure to be with you. And it's also really an honor to be receiving this medal. My grandmother was a great monarchist, and I grew up with stories of the little princesses, and the idea that that little snot-nosed little kid that she was reading stories to would ever grow up and get such a lovely award. And the Queen herself apparently approved the design, so it's very exciting. So thank you for your congratulations.
So have you got the medal yet?
Well, they have a number of like the last I got a Saskatchewan Order of Merit medal, and it was a big deal. It was just in Regina. I think there were about 7 of us, and but that was pre-COVID. So we had a big dinner, and there were the Mounties, and I'm very glad my family could all come to that. And so they all got a very fancy dinner and got to see me go out and get the medal with the Mounties. But now with COVID, everyone's careful. So they're having a number of smaller ceremonies around, like here and in Saskatoon. And but also I said, just because of COVID yet again, I said we did have the option of simply having our medals mailed to us, and so I chose that because I thought I don't want to have to cancel out, as we all have to these days.
How did you hear about being nominated for the medal?
Protocol office at the Saskatchewan legislature handles it, and it was the same fellow who his major is his status, but it is the same fellow who came over and interviewed me for the Saskatchewan Order of Merit. And so, I mean, we really had a good talk that day, and so I was very pleased to hear from him about this. And he said, that in large part it was, the reasons I had been commended on the Saskatchewan Order of Merit. I mean, partly obviously it's the Joanne Kilbourne novels, but also, I mean, I've written plays, but I've also taught university for decades, and many of those decades were spent at First Nations University of Canada. So I've worked closely with and thoroughly enjoyed my time with Indigenous people, and I've been active in the community. I've taught at the Open Door Society and do a number of literacy events. So I think to me, it's always just been such a natural. My ability to do those kinds of things grows so, it just out of my degrees in English, so it makes good sense. And I enjoy doing it. And obviously, after all these years, I think I've managed to learn a few things.
So what does knowing that you'll be one of the recipients mean to you?
Well, it means it is an honor. And, I think it means more in a strange way to my grandchildren. It's very nice for me and my your own children. My kids, somebody once referred to me in a newspaper as Canada's literary treasure. And so my kids have always grown up mocking me when I come into the room and say, oh, here's Canada's literary treasure. So as far as your children are concerned, I know they're proud, but I mean, it's not a big deal. But the grandchildren they're really taken with it. And I am too. As I said, it's my grandmother would be so proud and so amazed, that this had happened. I'm not talking pride in me, but she would just be amazed that she, who had absolutely no education, none, and she was from Kent in England, and she was widowed. My grandfather was killed in the First World War, so she came back to Canada because she believed that Canada would offer her children a better future. And so she had so much. I mean, she obviously gave up a life that she knew and loved in Kent, and she loved England for her whole life, but she was also thoroughly committed to Canada. So I think she would have been really amazed just at how fortunate we are to live in Canada, where we can go from, my father and my aunt had grade 8 education. They had to go and help support their families, but they did well. And here I am, the next generation, and went on to do graduate degrees. And, that says a great deal about Canada. I think that we have so many chances.
Well, thank you so much for talking a bit more about receiving and being a recipient for this award.
Thank you, Sarah. It was my pleasure.
And enough for taking a quick look at your 7-day forecast now. We'll be seeing that scorcher tomorrow, so get ready. Then cooling down Thursday, so that'll be nice to have a nice cool down day at 22. Then seeing 26, 30 for Friday and Saturday. So seeing a beautiful weekend ahead here in the border city. Then seeing that warm streak continue on to next week with 29 Sunday, 28 Monday, and seeing that 24 next Tuesday.
All right, thank you so much for that, Shelby, and thank you all for joining us for our first hour of Primetime Local News. If you missed anything, stick around. Our second hour continues next.